Hello, welcome back to Snugglewood, young Dreamlynx. My name is Arin. Snuggle down into your coziest quilt and let tonight's calming tale and soothing sounds relieve you of any worries and guide you towards a deep, restful night's sleep under these beautiful stars above. And so our story begins in a place called Snuggleton and the sleepy giant tale of cuddly creatures. The warm view of Snuggleton wrapped around the wondrous world, warm and comforting like a cherished blanket. Its gentle rhythm a heartbeat of comfort and serenity. Nestled amidst rolling hills, blanketed by silver-tipped grass, the village exuded calm with every whispered breeze that danced through the air. Snuggleton was a haven of soothing comfort, a sanctuary where time flowed as serenely as the streams that wove through its glades. It was here that the cuddly creatures dwelled, each one a part of a tapestry woven from dreams and wonder. The story of the cuddly creatures begins by a babbling brook that sparkled under the glowing light of a crescent moon. The skies above stretched infinitely, speckled with stars that drifted lazily in hues of pale gold, violet, and soft azure. Following the brook's path through a forest so lush, its edges seemed to blur like the softest watercolour, Snuggleton's magic unfolded. Trees with trunks as wide and warm as a welcoming hug greeted newcomers, their bark veined with glowing silver lines that pulsed gently, in time with the brook's rhythm. Waddling out from the undergrowth, the first creature revealed itself. An oppenfluff. The creature resembled a cloud tinged with pale lavender, round and plush, with fur so soft it looked like spun dandelion. Its little paws made no sound as it moved, and the slightest scent of blooming lilac followed in its wake, a natural lullaby to the senses. The oppenfluff's presence was unhurried. It shuffled in quiet circles amidst the brook, while the grass beneath it grew softer and drooped as though made drowsy by its aura. Past the brook lay a sprawling meadow, where the world swayed gently, as if breathing together in perfect harmony. Here gathered the Lushlanters, deer-like beings with tawny velvet coats that danced under the moonlight, each step as silent as falling snowflakes. Their antlers twined upward like the branches of a tree, glowing warmly with bioluminescent patterns that seemed to flicker in response to soft, unseen melodies. Lushlanthers were protectors of the meadow, guardians whose serene presence created a cocoon of safety and calm. Clusters of luminous flowers blossomed wherever a Lushlanther wandered, their soothing fragrance thickening the air with a tender drowsiness. The meadow tilted upwards into low hills, where the next of Snuggleton's delightful denizens could be found lazing in the whispering shade of the incline. Amble snoozles, round and plump creatures akin to quilted pillows come to life, rested here. Their patchwork patterns glowed in a kaleidoscope of apricot, teal, and lavender, changing with the rise and fall of their steady breaths. These creatures exuded warmth, the very essence of their being radiated a comforting heat that softened the ground around them into nest-like cradles. Their voices could only be felt as a low vibration carried through the earth. The slightest whirring that encouraged all within reach to settle down and drift gently into the arms of sleep. Beyond the hills, the air grew cooler as the land opened downward into a softly illuminated valley. At its heart lay a gleaming pond, rippling in endless shades of blue, edged with smooth stones that seemed as if polished by the passing of time. Here, the starry glow of the pond reflected in the deep, watchful eyes of the noctiwolves. Neither wolf nor sheep, these creatures blended features of both. Their woolly coats, so impossibly silky, they hardened to protective shields if needed. These guardians of the valley moved as silently as shadows, their presence steady and reassuring. They wove through the night with calming precision, a presence that silently promised protection against the unknown. On the pond's still surface, an endless constellation of stars seemed to ripple like liquid light. From below drifted the slow, graceful movements of the ceralites, eel-like beings with long ribbon-like fins that trailed streams of pure phosphorus in their wake. Their patterns revealed themselves beneath the crystal-like water, a steady rhythm that entranced anyone watching. The ceralites floated delicately, almost appearing to breathe collectively with the life of the pond. North of the valley, past a thicket of glittering willows with tendrils that whispered as the wind passed through them, a stunning pastel forest unfurled. This seemingly endless landscape carried otherworldly hues of peach and periwinkle, its tranquility wrapped around each tree limb as if in repose. From this enchanted forest emerged the melody mists, mesmerizing sprites resembling candle flames perched atop of feline forms. Their bodies sparkled like sunlight caught in the morning dew, and as they moved, the air filled with barely perceptible notes of a humming song, tailor-made to soothe. The paths grown here were not ordinary trails, but instead streams of glowing moss that created patterns in soft spirals underfoot, leading to a great grove at the centre. Herein stood the largest tree in all of Snuggleton, its canopy so grand it could have cradled the entire village. The grove was sacred to the swalings, delicate butterfly-like creatures that were the colours of dreams, folding and unfolding their wings slowly, as if the very act synchronized with the heartbeats of the land. Whenever the swalings rested, they touched the air with stillness so tender, it lulled any restlessness into utter calm. At the edges of Snuggleton, where the first glimmers of dawn occasionally kissed the land's border, there lived the Lumilopes. Gentle, towering creatures with limbs resembling curved branches and eyes like pools filled with moonlight. Lumilopes moved through morning mists, blending their elongated frames into the break of night and day. Watching a Lumilope walk was to feel time dissolve, their every elegant step speaking to a steady, comforting tempo that tethered the watcher to the present, grounding them in quiet serenity. Breathing in the universe of Snuggleton was like drinking in pure tranquility. Every creature, every ripple of the pond, every sound or breeze seemed the orchestration of a perfectly balanced song. The land reached out to those who wandered its sanctity, wrapping them in invisible arms of safety, comfort, and reassurance. While visitors may never uncover the secrets of how Snuggleton came to life, they would leave with the sense that this was a world built only for harmony and endless restfulness. Past the enchanted glow of the Lumilopes' sacred paths, the landscape of Snuggleton unfolded yet again into a land of wonders. A plush terrain of cloud-like valleys stretched endlessly, forming the habitat of the whimsy whales. These creatures, shaped dreamily like miniature whales, floated gently above the ground as if the air were water. Their soft, downy exteriors flashed gently, adjusting in colour between faint lavenders, pearly whites and pale blues. Wherever the whimsy whales drifted, they left trails of sparkling mist that turned upward like tiny galaxies, creating the sense that the sky and the ground had merged into one serene continuum. Whimsy whales communicated through whispered harmonics, tones so soothing they seemed to resonate directly with the heart. For anyone who happened to encounter them, simply existing in their presence was like being lulled into a deep and peaceful dream. Travellers passing through this region often found themselves reclining on the pillowy tufted grass, feeling the air moving softly around them as the whimsy whales' melodies filled the sky. It wasn't uncommon to see one of these celestial beings drift close to a visitor, curling its open mist-like tail around them momentarily, as if offering a quiet, comforting hug before floating away. Further along this dreamlike terrain lay a hidden grove known as the Glimmer Glade. The glade was shrouded in perpetual twilight, where thousands of glowing motes danced like suspended fireflies. It was here that the friendly creatifluffs dwelled. These adorably bulbous creatures were small enough to fit in one's open palm, and looked as though they were made of clouds stitched together with star threads. Their fur glimmered softly with pastel hues, shifting imperceptibly as they scurried and bounced toward their tranquil home. Creatifluffs had a peculiar talent for weaving light. Using their tiny, soft hands, they could shape the glowing motes into intricate patterns that danced in the dim air. These light weavings often took the form of delicate orbs or spiraling constellations that would float gently above the glade, shining like whispered wishes caught in the evening breeze. Visitors to the Glimmerglade often found their stresses melting away the moment the Creatifluffs turned their earnest attention toward them, weaving comforting patterns of light that seemed to soothe every creased thought and anxious breath. Time within the glade was unhurried, unmeasured, as if the Creatifluffs themselves dictated the pace of existence. A pace as easy and steady as ripples in a still pool. Beyond the Glimmerglade's fondest of reaches, the enveloping trees give way to an open expanse of velvety twilight plains known as the slumber steppes. These plains, soft and undulating beneath the low silver starlight, were dotted with marvellous creatures known as Snuggletons. These massive beings, resembling elephants sculpted with the coziest blankets, carried a luxurious plush-like skin that radiated warmth. Their tusks were smooth and shone proudly, etched with curling patterns resembling the rolling shapes of clouds. The Snuggletons moved at a moderate pace, each step barely moving, as if they carried the weight of infinite calm. Their deep, resonant breaths carried across the plains, accompanied by the soothing sound of distant thunder. Visitors who ventured near often found themselves pulling closer, irresistibly drawn to the Snuggletons' calming presence. Settling down by their giant forms, travellers would hear the lowest rumble, like a memorable song emanating from within. A lullaby that seemed to come not just from the Snuggletons, but from the plains themselves. Nestling against their plush forms was to feel all burdens dissolve, replaced only by a tranquil, dreamless rest. The edges of the slumber steps stood proud, slightly with dew, marking the boundary to a mystical marshland known as the Driftmire. Here, a thin, silver mist clung perpetually to the air and ground, giving the land a magical, floating appearance. The Driftmire was serenely cool, but never cold, alive with gently glowing lily pads scattered across its still waters. The denizens of this realm were the Drowsefins, graceful, dolphin-like beings with wings instead of fins, their broad, silky appendages enabling them to glide effortlessly just above the surface of the misty marsh. The Drowsefins were known for their soft, melodic calls, a sound so peaceful it seemed to resonate through the water, air, and even into the bones of those nearby. When Drowsefins danced across the Driftmire, their wings left glittering trails in the mist, patterns swirling gently before fading away into the endless calm. Those lucky enough to witness a group of Drowsefins performing their synchronized flights often reported feeling as though they had been carried away on invisible wings, their minds light and free of all but the soft rhythms of the marsh. On the far edges of the Driftmire, the mist thinned, revealing a crystalline coast where the touch of the waves heralded the approach of the Lapsirines. The Lapsirines were aquatic creatures with sleek bodies, made entirely of a glittering, glass-like substance. At their cores glowed wild orbs of golden light, pulsing steadily in rhythm with the ebb and flow of the waves. These beings existed within the tidal pools of Snuggleton's shores, their movements fluid and deliberate as the sea's breadth. The lap sirens' very presence seemed to align time and thought with the rhythm of the ocean. Observing them was almost hypnotic. Their mirrored bodies caught and refracted the light of the moon, dancing on the waves in a prismatic display that felt like a lullaby for the eyes. Travellers who wandered to the shoreline would find themselves lulled into quiet contemplation, the lapping sound of the tide blending harmoniously with the subtle movements of the lap sirens. Time spent in the presence of these creatures was restorative, as if the ocean had whispered its secrets of peace and wisdom into the hearts of all who lingered. From the lap sirens' shores, a winding path of shell-strewn sands led upward, where soft cliffs gave way to sweeping skies dotted with fluffy, cotton-like clouds, low enough to touch. Here in the sky fields soared the nimbus phoenixes, majestic creatures with wings spread as wide as the horizon. Their feathers peaked like morning sunlight breaking through the fog. Their every movement as elegant as wind winding through the tall grass. These protectors of the upper realms floated effortlessly through the air, their calls a series of harmonized notes that made the very heavens seem alive with soothing music. Visitors to the sky fields often marveled at the nimbus phoenix's uncanny ability to lift the spirit. For some, the experience was like weightlessness, as though all cares, fears, and sadnesses had melted into the open air. These noble creatures symbolized pure freedom and serenity, their presence a reminder of the beauty and peace that could be found even in vast and open spaces. And finally, beyond the sky fields, at the very heart of Snuggleton, where the most secretive cradles of calm resided, lay the ever-dream forest. This forest was a place of wonder and whisperings, where the trees seemed to speak in soft rustles and the creatures roamed with silent grace. Here, among the ancient grooves and mossy streams, lived the Dreamlynx, a species of small, furry beings with large ears that always seemed to be listening. The Dreamlynx's gift lay in their ability to sense unspoken thoughts and fears, offering comfort through their presence alone. They were often seen nestled together on tree branches or scampering along the forest floor, leaving behind trails of everlasting fairy dust wherever they went. Visitors who found themselves lost in thought while wandering through the evergreen forest would feel a gentle nudge or a small paw on their shoulder, as if the Dreamlynx were there to guide them back to the present moment. And when they finally emerged from the forest, travellers would often find themselves feeling lighter and more at peace, with the slightest traces of dreams still lingering in their minds. Snuggleton was a place of rest and rejuvenation. A haven for weary souls seeking a respite from the chaos of daily life. For those who ventured to Snuggleton, it was a place unlike any other, where the simple act of being present was enough to wash away all worries and leave behind only a deep sense of peace. A true paradise for anyone in need of a little rest and relaxation. So come, dear traveller, and experience the magic of Snuggleton for yourself. You may never want to leave its peaceful embrace. In addition to its diverse inhabitants, Snuggleton was also home to various natural wonders and added to its tranquil atmosphere. From crystal clear streams and sparkling waterfalls, to fields of wildflowers and hidden gardens, there was always something new waiting to be discovered in this dreamlike realm. But beyond its physical beauty, Snuggleton also held a special energy that seemed to radiate from its very core. Some claimed it was the result of ancient magic woven into the land by its creators, while others believed it was simply the collective essence of all those who found solace within its borders. Whatever the source, one thing was certain. Being in Snuggleton felt like entering a world where time slowed down and worries melted away. For many of these weary travellers, Snuggleton became more than just a destination, but a state of mind. It represented a place of rest and rejuvenation, a reminder that amidst the chaos and noise of daily life, there is always a calm oasis waiting to be discovered.